How's it going, ladies and bruises? I'm Bobby Sixkilla, and today we're going to be checking out a game called Jiangshi x Daoshi. This was a game that was recommended by a patron, Camera. Thank you very much for recommending this one. It does look very interesting. It did come out 2 years ago, but they are still adding new chapters as it is. So I guess it's an early access, although it doesn't say that. The first 2 chapters are free, and then the third chapter you have to pay for. But I thought we'd jump in, do half an hour, see what you guys think. I'm kind of fishing for something that's going to do well on the channel at the moment, if you know what I mean. So if you want to see more episodes of this, make sure to blow it up, and then we'll make sure there's more episodes of it. But I've got so many things that so many games I need to get into, that I need to start sort of fishing for ones that are going to do better than others. You know what I mean? Just to try and make each series worthwhile in the grand scheme of things. You know what I mean? I'm sure you understand. Anyway, let's jump in, shall we? This game uses an auto-save system. Ooh, fancy. That means I can't save and backtrack on my choices, I suppose. Not that we ever do. Oh, okay, we need to turn off this. Oh my god. Oh my god. Config. Right. So this has some voice acting in Japanese, which I'm going to talk over the top of because you can't turn it off in this one. So apologies for that. So I'll make it a little bit quieter as well. To all who have assembled here, I bid you welcome. Know that the peculiar tale I shall weave you tonight is one fraught with fantasy and wonder. Are you perchance familiar with Taoism, dearest audience? The word denotes an art that guides one towards Tao, the truth of the universe, and serves as a requirement to becoming the ultimate Shan. Some train their bodies to transcend the realm of nature. Others turn their charms and spells to pass through the gates of divinity. And there were those who concocted elixirs to attain immortality and apotheosis. Although the Raigan Daoshi, those who exercise Jiangshi, have managed to garner a modicum of fame these days, their names are still rarely ever pass the lips of the common man. This is the story of those who have mastered Taoism, the so-called Daoshi. I humbly ask for but a moment of your valuable time. I assure you, it shall not be wasted. Okay. I'll take that as a promise. Behold, a place nestled deep in the mountains, covered in lush vegetation, shall serve as our initial stage. An area that, save for its bustling abundance of chlorophyll, possesses hardly a notable trait worthy of mention, now gives home to a bizarre peculiarity. Allow me to begin our view closer to it. Someone was rushing along a steep road that even wild beasts would courteously decline to traverse. They pressed ever onwards, at times leaping over bamboo bushes, and others using tree trunks as launch pads to attain more speed, almost like a ricocheting bullet or a rubber ball. An inhuman feat being performed by someone that was undoubtedly human. Apologies for my lack of being able to read today. I mean, you must be used to that though. The thrum of life echoed through his ragged breathing. It was a young man, 16 years of age at best. Something was following him at a furious speed. It drew closer and closer to the young man, crushing bushes, smashing trees and trampling over unlucky fawns. The young man collided with something and tumbled down to the ground. Turning around, he saw an aberration towering over him. It was a grotesque monstrosity in the shape of a massive human head attached to a single large leg. Cool. The thing wasn't alone either. 2 more of its kind lurked close by. They were one-legged abominations called Donko, a type of yokai that normally lived underwater and feasted on human flesh. The Donko opened its wide mouth, exposing a cavity that seemed strikingly maladjusted to marine life. It would have no doubt raised the eyebrows of any seasoned evolutionalist. Foul-smelling saliva sloshed about between the creature's glistening row of sharp white teeth. The Donku lurched after the young man. Would this mark the end of his life? A moment later, the Donko's head separated from its body with a blinding flash. It rolled to the ground and soon turned to smoke, dissipating into the air. The blood-soaked steel that carried out the deed glimmered in the light of the sun. There she stood, a mysterious female Daoshi, wielding the hallowed Kazan blade. She looked no older than 9, although the Kazan blade itself was quite modest in size. Being held by such a petite girl made it appear more like a two-handed sword. Are you unhurt, my lord? The girl addressed the young man in a strangely archaic manner. Sure, Miss Daoshi. The young man answered in an aloof tone. He either possessed an incredible capacity for composure or had a few screws loose. At least, this definitely wasn't the behaviour of someone who had just stared death in the face mere moments earlier. Hark, vile demons, for I, Kazan Daoshi Ling Ling, shall banish you from this realm. And so Ling Ling hurled her hallowed blade at the two remaining Donko. It darted after them like a fierce bolt of lightning. However, all it pierced was empty air. A deafening rumble reverberated across the ground and trees. A Donko's most intimidating feature was its tendency to jump. Their movements were impossible to follow with the naked eye. However, the young man's pupils tracked the Donko's trajectory with minute precision. A second later, he yelled in the girl's direction. Behind you! The Donko lunged at the girl's defenseless back, only to explode like a set of red spider lily fireworks. A moment before it could catch up to the girl, the aberration's body separated from its head. This was the work of the very same sword the girl held at the monsters earlier. Rotating like a pinwheel, the blade soared in the air with a will of its own. The Kazan Holy Sword was a type of whirlwind blade. Increasing its rotation even further, it darted after the last remaining Donko. Whoa. That's some crazy animation, man. Very cool. The production value is pretty fucking stunning, actually. Like a star crashing down from the heavens above, it split the Donko clean in half, then promptly changed directions and flew back toward Ling Ling. She caught it by the hilt, seemingly having done this a million times before. Man, I owe you one, Miss Daoshi. The young man approached Ling Ling in a laid-back gait. Ling Ling, however, remained silent with the hilt of the sword clutched tight in her hand. Miss Daoshi? At that moment, Ling Ling fell to the ground. The young man caught hold of her light frame. You okay, Miss Daoshi? A terrifying sound reminiscent of a beast's growl washed across the forest. Readying himself for a new yokai, the young man scanned his surroundings, but spotted nothing. Then he realized that the sound was actually coming from the girl in his arms. I'm hungry. Upon uttering those words, Ling Ling lost consciousness. I mean, moving around like that, it's going to take it out of you. Isn't it? Looks tiring. Boy meets girl. Cool. I'll say, this is quite delectable. Yan Wu, was it? Your cooking is most wondrous. Ling Ling wolfed down the food with an expression of bliss, lighting up her face. So is this, like, it's in Japanese, but it's obviously Luan Wu and Ling Ling are Chinese names, so is it set in China? Her cheeks were swollen like a squirrel's. I had forgotten all about the importance of taking meals here in the mundane realm. On the Kazan, embryonic breathing makes up for it in spades, you see. A light blush ran across her swollen cheeks. Embryonic breathing was a form of Taoism that involved inhaling the force of nature into your body. I also whipped up some almond tofu for dessert. Lian Wu brought the quivering almond tofu to the table. What manner of dish is this, Lian? I'm no stranger to medicinal almond, yet... At least you're doing the sound effects for me. After a single bite, Ling Ling's face melted in joy. A moment passed, and she began stuffing her mouth faster than she could swallow. She closed her eyes with every piece of almond that entered her mouth, savouring its taste and smell, her face blooming like a flower with every gulp she took. There was something endearing about her constantly changing smile. So sweet, so sublime. I would have descended the mountain earlier had I known of this heavenly treat, declared Ling Ling, her belly and spirit equally sated by the meal. Well, I'm right glad it pleased you, Miss Ling Ling. I'll be off now to wash the plates. So why don't you go watch some TV in the meantime? TV? Ling Ling tilted her head at the unfamiliar word. Lian switched on the TV. On screen, a giant monster opened its jaws to launch a fireball. Startled by the sudden development, Ling Ling jumped backward, knocking over the chair behind her. What sorcery is this? Are you a warlock? Surprised by Ling Ling's reaction, Lian changed the channel. The screen switched to a cartoon of some sort. Ling Ling gazed at it with much interest. They were now airing a cooking show. Her mouth began to water. Soon enough, the same monster flick from earlier came back onto the screen. Ling Ling hid behind the chair. This is fun, Luan thought to himself as he observed Ling Ling's reactions. I love messing with this girl. Ling Ling scrutinized the TV from all angles, poking it with trembling fingers. You've never seen a TV before, Miss Ling Ling? Not once. It's an appliance that transmits a visual feed from... Well, speaking in Taoist terms, you could say it allows everyone to use second sight at will. Second sight. A Shan skill that allowed one to observe any location found on the three realms. When perfected, it allowed one to know all there was to know about the world, even if they were trapped within a small box. At times, one could even use it to have a peek inside people's hearts. Incredible! How technology's advanced while I spent all that time up on the mountain. Ling Ling extended a hand toward the TV. She seemed intent on climbing inside. Miss Ling Ling, exactly how much time do you spend on that mountain of yours? Asked Luan. About 500 years. How about that? The 9-year-old looking girl struck a confident pose. Seriously? Done. I love these ad break intermissions that anime usually have. I've descended upon the mundane world to spread the virtues of Kazan Taoism, Ling Ling declared with her hallowed blade held aloft. Kazan served as a sacred ground of Chinese swordsmanship. It was also the mountain where Shan would retire. The Daoshi of these parts transcended through their mastery of swordsmanship, and were a fairly combat-oriented bunch. As far as Luan knew, this was the first time any of them had come down from their holy mountain. Oh, that's cool. Aye, and thus, the question naturally follows. Luan, will you serve as my disciple? Surely it must have been the hand of fate that brought us together, hence I shall grant you the honour of becoming my very first student. And I would also very much like to sample your cooking on a daily basis if possible, said Ling Ling as his stomach growled. You're hungry again already? It sounded more like a proposal to me, you know. A proposal? And what, pray tell, is that? Ling Ling tilted her head to the side. Well, let's see. It's what men and women do when they want to spend the rest of their lives together. A confusing concept for sure, but if it's a proposal you want, then a proposal I shall. If you want to stay by my side? Her eyes lit up with excitement. Sure thing, I'll be your disciple. A warm smile sat upon Ling Ling's face. I was quite racked with worry over the issue of finding a disciple, but I'd say it turned out fine in the end. What does it pay? Right, so you're going to teach you some Taoism now, Miss Ling Ling? Fie? You should refer to me as Master from now on. Gotcha, Master. Ling Ling's features melted into an expression of genuine happiness. Master? Teacher? Instructor? They repeated this a few hundred times. The new moon waned and fattened back up. The sun repeated its predestined course across the sky. The stars drifted toward the west. And so, an entire month came and went. You spent the month focusing on Doin Gyoki. Doin Gyoku is a method of practicing Taoism by absorbing ki and spreading it across your body. I shall now impart upon you one of the teachings of Taoism, the act of passing through walls. For this, you will need to use Uho. Uho was a special way of walking one needed to perform in order to enter the hallowed grounds. It made its first appearance in recorded history on the scroll of Bao Puzi, circa 1700 years ago. Ling Ling pushed her hand against the wall, and without any apparent resistance, it sank into the wooden frame, as if swallowed up by a body of water. Before long, her entire body had disappeared into the wall. Neat. Luan sounded an impressed whistle. Uho's transposed one's being between the physical world and the spiritual world of the Shan. And so by utilizing this property, this peculiar technique of passing through walls was invented. You could pass through any sort of physical boundary by transposing your body to a different dimension. Impressed? You should be. Alas, what I have performed here was but a tip of the iceberg known as Taoism. Transposing your very existence, you learn to perceive and come into contact with spirits and yokai that previously eluded you, Ling Ling declared, her voice replete with palpable pride as she peeked her head out of the wall. Master? Yes? What ails you? I'm still in the middle of my explanation for the record. No, your clothes. Oh man, don't tell me that your clothes fell off. Ling Ling's clothes lay on the ground. That was quite a blunder. Wanting to show off in front of her disciple, Ling Ling mustered too much of her power and ended up passing through her own clothes. My clothes! I can't pick up my clothes! With her body transposed to a different dimension through Uho, Ling Ling's hands vainly grasped at the pile of clothing on the ground. It's okay, Master, I'll pick them up for you. In sharp contrast to the flustered Ling Ling, Luan reached out toward the girl's clothes with perfect composure. Away with you! Away! Ling Ling stuck a charm on Luan's head with a scream. I hereby forbid you from seeing anything. Huh? You turned off the lights. The moment Ling Ling uttered her spell, a thick darkness enveloped Luan's vision. He lumbered across the room with unsteady steps like a zombie. Wow, that's a pretty cool power. I can't pick them up. My hands slip right through. Meanwhile, the weeping Ling Ling tried desperately to reclaim her clothes. What I showed you earlier is the so-called golden cicada molting, a technique that allows you to undo your opponent's armor or escape any physical binding used to confine you. It might have looked like I messed up there, but I assure you, that was not the case at all, said Ling Ling with blushing cheeks. I know, Master. More importantly though, what was that thing you used to seal my vision? A blocking charm used to seal away all sorts of things. As one's movements, or even vision, as I demonstrated with you just now, in the case of yokai, you can even forbid their very existence. Well, that's handy. I forbid you from being in existence. Go on. Ling Ling dangled one of her forbidden seals in front of Luan's face. Like this? Don't move. Luan pulled the charm out of Ling Ling's grasp and stuck it on her forehead. The girl froze in place like a paused recording. Huh? It actually worked? You're pulling my leg, aren't you, Master? Look, if you continue to stay like that, I might just help myself to some hands-on experience over here. Whoa, is this for real? Well, in that case, I call dibs on all your snacks for today. Luan opened the fridge and pulled out a cake. Then he began gliding it into his widely opened mouth, right in front of Ling Ling. Down the hatch you go! Huh? Ling Ling began to tear up, her face flushing beet red. Look, Master, it's just a little joke. Please don't cry. Ling Ling's reaction cracked Luan's will of composure for the first time since the two met. Oh, it's so sweet, stiff and rich in flavour. Ling Ling reclaimed the cake and began munching on it the moment she was released. Her expression would break into a smile with each bite, but tear right back up as soon as she swallowed. Master, I'm real sorry. Please cheer up. Ling Ling gave Luan a pouty glare. Look, I'll do anything. Cake, said Ling Ling as she wolfed down the cake. I want to eat cake. You're doing it right now. I want a whole cake. Oh, sure thing. I'm out of ingredients though, so I'll need to take a trip down to do some shopping. Give me a few hours, okay? I wish to accompany you. Ling Ling leaned forward. But you've only been down here for a month or so. You really got to learn the lay of the land before going out on a shopping trip. But you said you'd do anything for me. Ling Ling glared at Luan with teary eyes. Suppose I got no choice. Alright, you can tag along. But stay close to me and don't go wandering off. Okay. Ling Ling beamed in joy. Her tears from moments before now seemed like a distant memory. Moving. At the foot of the mountain lay a common town. Common buildings, common roads, common people. It was as though commonality itself was this place's only trait. Nonetheless, Ling Ling's eyes sparkled with excitement as she took in the unremarkable scenery. My, how civilization has advanced. I expected nothing less from a futuristic metropolis. Ling Ling's gaze settled on a car. Luan, mind explaining the purpose of that metal beast? We call them cars. They're tools to help us travel from place to place. You know, this has a lot in common with, like, Dragon Ball. Like the original Dragon Ball. And Goku lives in the trees and he's never seen technology or anything before. And, you know, you remember the start of Dragon Ball. I do indeed spy some people sitting inside. I too wish to try this experience. Buy me one. Ain't happening, I just don't have that kind of money. Besides, you gotta be an adult to get a driver's license. I've lived for 50 decades, I will not suffer being treated like a snotty tyke. Oh, a two-wheeled vehicle. What is that? A bicycle. Cars that use energy from burning water to function. But these bad boys, you gotta move with your own strength. Burning water? Well, that's handy. A child is riding one. So there ought to be no objections to me trying my hand at that, correct? Oh, I want it, so. I don't know. I shall help out with the laundry and the dishes. Please, Luan. Ling Ling tugged on Luan's sleeve. Well, fine, but you gotta promise to help me. Ling Ling confidently straddled a red bicycle made for children. What say you, Luan? I channel the veritable visage of a great general riding their steed, do I not? She flashed a bold smile. Apparently this made her feel like a hero leading an army of thousands. Yeah, you're looking pretty snazzy there, Master. Alright, onwards, red hair. Huh, didn't take long for her to give it a name. Ling Ling began gallantly pedaling away on the bicycle. It wobbled a few meters forward, then toppled over just like that. An indigo darkness covered the evening town, shedding its mundanity to cloak itself in a somewhat wistful atmosphere. This is more of an ordeal than I anticipated. Ling Ling, covered in bruises from head to toe, pushed her kiddie bicycle down the road. Let's practice when we get home. I'll help. Aye, I'm counting on you, Luan. Ling Ling snickered. What's eating you, Master? The mundane world is rife with things both wondrous and stimulating, and I would never have learned about them had I stayed on Kazan, training. Above all else, however, I'm glad that the first person I met down here was a kind soul like yourself, Luan. Thanks. Ling Ling's straightforward candidness nearly made Luan blush. Remain by my side, Luan. Sure thing, Master. It happened as the two continued down the road. Yo, Luan. A man's voice filled the barren streets. It sounded friendly enough, but not without a peculiar raspiness to it. Luan turned around and saw three men standing behind them. What's this? Are they friends of yours, Luan? Ling Ling looked up from the motionless Luan. He remained silent, and simply glared at the men with a look that could kill. You'd be wondering what you were up to after ditching the organization, but man, who would have thought you were out here in the boonies, picking up little girls, huh? One of the men let out a vulgar snicker. The organization? Ling Ling tilted her head at the unfamiliar word. I take it he didn't tell you, short stuff. This guy here used to be our #1 Sha Shu assassin. Ling Ling considered Luan with anxious eyes. He might pretend to be Mr. Nice Guy around you, but he'd offer anyone for the right price. Even someone your age. What? It all ended in the blink of an eye. Two backhanded blows thrown from each of Luan's hands shattered two of the men's jaws, rendering them both unconscious. Not even Daoshi Ling Ling's eyes could fully register what had just occurred. The two men collapsed to the ground, a mixture of blood and shards of teeth drooling from their mouths. Yummy! Luan shoved the side of his knife into the remaining man's mouth. Blood trickled down the corners of his lips. Well, that was fucked up. The man let out an indecipherable whimper. You should like running your mouth, Luan uttered in a whisper, his gaze ice cold. You look like a different person altogether. The man's words had triggered the mechanism for violence that lay dormant inside him. I'd slice that chatting jaw of yours right off along with your tongue. Then I'll add an incision from your throat all the way to your rear. Luan continued in a tone that could send a chill down anyone's spine. I'll skin you alive. A low crashing sound reverberated across the empty streets. Luan turned to see Ling Ling staring at him with frightened eyes. The bicycle was toppled over by her feet. He slowly pulled the knife away, his face now reflecting a certain kind of embarrassment. He then straightened Ling Ling's bicycle back up. Don't think you're off the hook, Luan Yu. We'll chase your traitorous hide to the ends of the earth and won't rest until you're in a body bag. As Luan and Ling Ling began walking away, the man shouted at them. And these backgrounds are so stunning with their parallax scrolling and such. Very nice. Was that man telling the truth? Ling Ling asked hesitantly. Yeah, he was. He used to be a Shashu. Killed 100 men or so. Luan answered her in the usual laid-back tone. I see. To tell the truth, I did find it odd to encounter Donko so far away from their natural habitat. The beast must have been attracted to the smell of blood lingering about you. Ling Ling made a short pause, then looked at Luan again. But, why? Bit of a vague question there, but I'll try to answer it the best I can. Luan began his story. I was born into the organization, and my earliest memory is them teaching me how to kill. I never questioned it, nor did I feel anything special when I whacked folks. It's all I had back in those days, you see. People were just marks to me, nothing more. Me, my marks, and the organization, those three made up my whole world. It was simple and easy to understand. Can't say I hated it, to be honest with you. It was an easy enough life to live, at least. Still, Luan placed a strawberry cake in front of Ling Ling before continuing. The food was great. Ling Ling gave Luan a confused look. This one time, a whim drove me to try the cuisine of a cook I'd killed. I was shocked. All I'd gotten in the organization were proteins, vitamins, and supplements. The taste of that dish felt profound and overwhelming. I felt my world expanding. I don't know how to describe it, but something made by a mere target had provided me with so much unknown information. It made me wonder, could my other targets have expanded my world in similar ways? Did they all possess things that I myself lacked? At the same time, though, I feared that this would destroy the simple, worry-free life I'd come to know and love. Before I realized what was happening, I'd already run away from the organization. Ling Ling listened to Luan's story in silence. Sorry for rambling your ears off, Master. Gotta admit, I'm a mystery to myself. It goes for my apprenticeship too. I only accepted it because I wanted to try something new. Luan bowed his head. I'm sorry your first disciple ended up being a nasty old assassin. Go ahead, expel me, Master. No, that is absolutely out of the question. Ling Ling vehemently opposed Luan's suggestion. The moment you learned about people marked the end of your life as an assassin. Furthermore, it is a master's duty to expand the world of her disciple. As such, I cannot abandon you. I have also proposed to you, remember? It was a promise between us to stay forever more together, was it not? Right, about that, I didn't exactly explain it in the best possible way, but... Scratching the back of his head, Luan explained what a proposal meant. At first, Ling Ling listened calmly, but when she finally understood the meaning, her face flushed red like an octopus. What? I would never have imagined. I'm not the best of disciples, but it'd be nice if you could let me stay by your side. That's quite fine. However, I do have a condition of my own. After that, Ling Ling stared Luan straight in the eye. You mustn't take another life. Ever. Her voice was but a whisper, but it reverberated to the depths of Luan's heart. Gotcha. Good. In that case, I would say it's high time you made that Her words were cut short by Luan's sudden embrace. He pushed her to the ground, towering above her small frame. Luan, I may have proposed to you, but still, it's a tad too early for... The sound of gunfire filled the entire room. Pieces of shattered glass and furniture rained down on the two. What in the world is this thunderous clangor? Clangor? Ling Ling's body stiffened under Luan's weight. A group of men with machine guns surrounded the lonely mountain shack. Among them was the man Luan met in town just a while earlier. This is the end of you, traitor. The men sprinkled gasoline on Luan's house. Light it up. The very moment the man, who was likely the group's leader, gave the order, Luan's house burst into flames. The men pointed their guns at the door of the burning house. We'll see if you'd rather burn to death or be turned into Swiss cheese. Make your choice, Luan Yu. The man flashed a malicious grin. The stench of smoke tickled their nostrils, but no matter how long the men waited, no one emerged from the house. Guess he chose to die among the flames, huh? Nah, not really. The man suddenly heard Luan's voice from behind. He turned to see half of his men already lying unconscious. Some had their shoulders dislocated or their jaws shattered. Others had their legs twisted. How'd you get outside? The man screamed like he'd just seen a ghost. Oh, I just passed through a wall, Luan answered in his usual relaxed voice. The remaining men pointed their AK-47s at Luan. They have AK-47s? But their muzzles ended up getting cleaved off by a spinning blade. But what? A small shadow gallantly glided toward the surprised men. In a split second, Daoshi Ling attached her seals to the men's foreheads. Don't move. As she pronounced those words, the men immediately lost control of their bodies. Ling curiously picked up one of the few remaining machine guns that was still in working order. So these are weapons of the modern world. How do they work? Ling began fiddling around with the firearm like a child with a toy. Her pinky accidentally pulled the trigger. The machine gun fired off a volley of bullets. They hit the hair and clothes of the men, leaving bald patches on their heads. What are the odds of not, tearing their head off? The men turned ghostly pale, having just escaped death by a literal hair's breadth. It would have been beyond humiliating to die in such a way. To lose one's life in a comical accident was far more terrifying than dying at the hands of a respected assassin. Forgive me, it was not my intention to shoot you. Are you unhurt? Did I graze you by accident? Oh, you're bleeding. Just wait a spell. I shall heal you with my Qigong. Master, could you not go around killing people's moments after you forbade me from doing it? Killing people. I didn't do it on purpose. All is well. There were no casualties. Luckily. I half expected this, to be honest. Well then. Luan slowly approached the leader of the men. Look at you. You brought a whole army along. Anyway, you can relax. I'm pretty sure you heard it just now. But my master here forbade me from taking another life. Still, I gotta make sure you never pull another stunt like this. Luan pulled out his knife. I'll gouge your eyes out, then sever the tendons in your leg. Look, it won't kill you. The man let out an odd chuckle as Luan approached him, then pressed the button on the remote control he was hiding behind his back. The next moment, the neutralized chashu nearby Luan exploded, causing gory chunks of meat and entrails to rain down on the ground. What? Pressed the wrong button. You stuffed them with bombs? You got a problem with it? Their only purpose is to kill you. I'm simply helping them do their jobs. The man pulled the remote control out from behind his back. Screw this, I'll just blow them all up at once. No problem, I can still evade the blast from this distance. Wait. What Luan saw as he turned around was Ling treating the wounds of one of the chashu. He dashed toward her with all his might. He leapt forward, pushing her to the ground and covering her with his body. A blinding flash followed. In its wake, a deafening explosion shook the very mountains. Don't die on me, you have to live, Luan! Ling screamed, her eyes moist with tears. Lying on his back, Luan looked up at the girl. The shrapnel from the explosion left wounds all over his body. His life was hanging by a thread. Master. What is it, Luan? Looks like I won't be able to make that cake for you anymore. Is that okay? You fool, this is the worst time to bring that up. It doesn't matter to me one bit, as long as you live. Sorry, but that ain't happening. I don't think. Oh, Luan! Ling's tears pattered down on Luan's face. Luan slowly wiped them off her cheeks. They were the kind of tears one would shed at a close friend's deathbed, till Luan, who had spent most of his life robbing and killing, felt mysterious and unfamiliar. However, this ain't so bad. And with that, the one's heart came to a stop. And with that, we also need to wrap this episode up because we're out of time for this episode. But as I said at the beginning, make sure to let me know if you want to see more because we can absolutely do more. I'm just testing the waters with a few games at the moment just to see what sticks. So make sure you let me know. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for getting out for me, and I'll see you in the next one.